So the next time you notice a disagreement beginning to get a bit heated or bitter, one of you needs to expose the enemy. One of you needs to expose the enemy. And what we've learned is that sometimes humor can help to dissolve the tension. I mean, seriously, sometimes you just need a moment of humor that just kind of lets you laugh for a second or just kind of go, okay, that's right, this is not the end of the world right now. And so what if you were to have, like, this is just an idea, you don't have to do this, but what if you were to have like a goofy code word or something when one of you is kind of like sniffing the enemy, like, okay, wait a minute, this is getting kind of ugly, or I'm getting kind of upset or resentful, and what if you had a code word like, my favorite code word, snickerdoodle? Because it's just such a dumb word. It's like, who's snickerdoodle? Doesn't it just sound goofy? It's like a goofy word.
Agree with her.
It'll go better for you.
The other thing is agree that each one of you, both of you, would take 2 minutes before talking about the issue. In other words, just being with you. Kind of really just quiet.
Maybe leaving the room for 2 minutes.
Pausing, being with the Lord. Say, Lord, give me the words to say. May they be yours. But seriously, give yourself time to just get away for a moment. Say, okay, sweetheart, let's do a timeout here.
After the snickerdoodle, go to your quarters.
Yeah, just for a couple of minutes. Then we'll come back together here. Okay?
Yeah, and during this pause, you need to take time to calm yourself.
You need to spend a moment with God and ask Him to help you and your spouse reach an agreement. I mean, truly, that time, that pause time is so, so important. How many of you, and I'll talk to the men right now, how many of you guys have ever opened up your mouth and spurted something out, and in a second later, you wish you hadn't said anything? Right? It doesn't have to be rhetorical.
And how many women have thought
the same thing?
How many women
have done the same thing?
Yeah.
Okay, so it happens to all of us.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's the enemy. We can laugh about it because hindsight is always laughable, right? Because it's behind us. But yet maybe even this evening that may come up again. So the key is to be disciplined, self-disciplined, of knowing that, hey, we need to snickerdoodle, okay.
2 minutes.
Let's pause right now with the Lord.
Okay, so let's say you've had your 2 minute pause, right?
Yes.
You've coached your soul, you've done all these things. Now you're coming back together again. So first thing is, at least initially, could you just hold hands? It's not going to kill you people. And say something very simple like,
Oh.
you had to look at that? I can't believe it. Okay.
I love you.
You had to look at that. Snickerdoodle!
I'm listening.
But at least initially...
I love you.
Thank you. I love you too. At least initially, just come together, hold each other's hands, look in the eyes of your spouse, and just say that. Now, you may not want to keep on looking at each other in the eye as you're talking about it, because some people don't talk well when someone's looking them in the eye the whole time, but at least that initially kind of resets you as a couple, right? Then take turns. I'm just so grown up. Then take turns without interruption explaining your concerns and desires. So take turns without interruption. That should be underlined and circled and starred and everything. Take turns without interruption explaining your concerns and desires.
And if you're receiving that, you're actually taking the time to listen to everything that's being said, not even thinking about what you want to say. Then once your spouse has finished, ask any clarifying questions that would be helpful, such as, help me understand why you would feel that way.
But do not argue with your spouse. Do not argue with your spouse about why they feel the way they do, and do not try to convince them to agree with you. This is really huge. If you don't hardly hear anything else tonight, this is really huge. Don't argue with them. Don't try to convince them to agree with you. Just listen to them as they explain how they feel, and then you explain how you feel.
After you have both fully shared your beliefs, concerns, and desires, brainstorm together possible solutions that would address concern you both have, or the major concerns that you both have.
So this is it. This is actually it. You don't try to bully your spouse. You don't try to make them agree with you. You don't argue with them. You listen. They talk. You talk. They listen. And then, because you people are all smart, you're all smart. You guys take it on as a challenge of like, okay, how do we brainstorm a solution that reflects the major concerns of us both? Now, it may be possible to come up with a solution quickly, but if not, agree to think about it and pray about it and revisit the issue the next day.
And then after you reach an agreement, finish the discussion by asking how your spouse wants you to handle the situation if you notice them breaking the agreement in the future.
Because that could happen.
You know, where all of a sudden somebody doesn't take the time to listen, follow through, you might, how are we going to do this?
So you ask your spouse, how do you want me to handle it? If, we agreed that we'd only spend $50 a month on, or $50 a week on groceries, or I don't know, whatever, and then you break it, I'm actually asking Raul in advance, well, what do you want me to do if you end up not holding to our agreement? How would you like me to handle that with you? Because now I'm actually getting his permission, like this is how he says he wants me to handle it if he breaks this agreement.